man, if I had been working as hard, um, branding and sales and networking for all these other companies, if I had been working that hard for my own company, I'd be in a much better situation right now in life. So that's when I was like, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do everything I've done before for other people for my own company. And let's see what happens.
Hi, I'm Tim Bratz, and every week I sit down with the top influential entrepreneurs in the country to discuss how to leave a true legacy in all things happiness, health, wealth, and wisdom. This is the Legacy Podcast. What's up, y'all? Welcome to the Legacy Podcast. I am Tim Bratz, and today I'm here with my buddy Blake Cook, who owns Filter Time. So Blake was a race car driver, very successful in that regard, left that and started entrepreneurship, went down this entrepreneurial road, and now has a business that sells filters for multifamily, for home residences, and they're looking at a bunch of different other verticals as well. So I've known Blake for about almost a year now, and been following his journey. He's got a lot of really, really cool stuff going on. He's partnered with Dale Earnhardt Jr. in Filter Time, and as just an awesome network, has an exploding business. They're having a lot of success, and I'm excited to hear a little bit more about the journey, brother. Thanks for being here, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I'm super excited. When we met, you mentioned having me on your podcast, and I've been excited since then. So, thanks for having me on.
Awesome, bro. So here's what I'd like to do, Blake, is I want to get into Filter Time because I think what you guys are doing is awesome. And I think it's a really cool transition in your story from going from full-time successful, race car driver on that side, and then moving into the entrepreneurial journey. But talk about I want to hear about your professional career as a race car driver first.
Yeah, so I started racing cars in 2009, and actually 2008, I drove my first ever race car. And I'm the kind of person, man, that I was like, well, if I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna go all in. And there's no reason why I can't be on TV and doing it as good as those guys I'm watching, like Dale Earnhardt Jr., right?
Yeah.
And I started calling all the teams, and I was like, hey, just give me a shot. I'll be your next champion. Trust me, I'm gonna win races, and just hounded all the big teams. And after about a year of constantly just calling and calling and calling, I got an opportunity to go drive somebody's backup car in one of their development series called the NASCAR Camping World West Series. They're like, "Hey Blake, all right, it's the last race of the year. You can run our backup car, and we'll see how you do." And I went out there and out qualified their primary driver, and I guess impressed them enough to sign me to a 2-year development deal, and I got my shot, man. And you have to work hard enough to get a shot, right? And then you have to work even harder to maximize that opportunity, and then even harder to stay in the game, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
just never
But then you got a
ending
target on
hard
your
work.
back, right?
You do, yeah. Everybody's like, they want to beat you and they want to steal your job. They want to steal your sponsors. So it's brutal, man. But getting into it was awesome and nothing short of miraculous, right? Just the timing. And I didn't grow up in a racing family, didn't even have much experience. Just hustled to get an opportunity and made the most of it. And then I had a 10-year career in NASCAR. And I heard on the opening you said that I left NASCAR to start Filter Time, but NASCAR left me, man. I lost my sponsor. I was heartbroken. I lost my ride, and it was at a point where most drivers find out that they have to find a new job or a new ride in about August, at the latest, to give you time to get ready for February when the season starts. And I found out January 9th, my wife's birthday. We were out to dinner, and it was just too late to get another ride. So I had a decision to make. Do I pout, sit around, and poor me, or do I go get after it and figure out what I want to do next? And that's what I did.
That's awesome, man. Well, I think there's a lot to unpack there. First of all, dude, I love that you went and just started pounding the phones initially
Yeah.
in order to get into it. How did you even learn how to race cars? Did you watch tutorials about it? You read books about it? Did you go and hang out with people who did that? How do you even? Because we're the same age, right?
Yeah.
I think I'm 2 weeks older than you, and both of us turning 40 this year. But so you were 22 years old, 23 years old, right, when you first started racing. You obviously didn't go to school for it. So how did you learn that in the real world, even how to drive cars like that?
Yeah. So I raced dirt bikes growing up, motocross,
Okay.
dirt. My dream was to be a professional supercross racer. Well, that wasn't happening. So I went to college for management and marketing. And my stepdad, when I was in college, he's a big race fan. He's like, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this race car. It's called a Pro Truck." And it was like 20,000 bucks, and it was going to be something we just did for fun on the weekends. And if you win, you can make $700 to 1,000 and pay for expenses. And I was like, man, I grew up racing dirt bikes and spending my weekends at the track so much. I'm really kind of just wanting to live a normal life at this point. And he's like, okay, no problem. I'll have our neighbor drive it. And I was like, oh, well, before you let him, maybe I should give it a chance.
Little takeaway.
Yeah, he did the takeaway. And I was like, well, let me try it first before you take it away from me. And we went out and rented a track and it's a day of testing. And I thought it was awesome, man. The horsepower, the noise, the grip it had. I was just like, this is fun. And I was fast day one. There was a couple other guys out there that have been doing it for a long period of time, and my lap times were faster than theirs. And I was like, all right, well, if I'm good at it, let's go race. And so we started just doing the local short track Saturday night races in Florida. I only raced about 5 times before I started calling all those NASCAR teams.
That's awesome, dude. And
Yeah.
so, like, what gave you the balls in order to even make those phone calls, right? And have the confidence to go and do that? You're like, young kid, nothing else to lose, and you're just like, dude, why not? What's the worst thing they could say is no? Is that kind of the thought process?
Yeah, that's the thought process. And I've always had the confidence that if anybody else can do it, there's no reason why I can't, right? With the amount of determination, hard work, if it can be done, there's no reason why I can't do it.
Yep.
So I was just trying to get an opportunity, and the worst that could happen is it didn't work out. And I go get a job somewhere with a different career, and the best it could turn out is I could become a NASCAR driver and get paid to race cars. So
Dude, think about that. Think about, like, there's so much wisdom in that perspective of everything you do. Look at the best case scenario, look at the worst case scenario. And when you look at the best case scenario and you think, oh my gosh, I could be famous, right? I could have this unbelievable career. I like it could open up doors. I got stories to tell my kids and my grandkids about the amazing, incredible things of like chasing my dreams and all this, versus the worst case scenario is going and getting a job, right? Like
yeah,
everybody else does, right?
yeah,
And that's which was the standard and the expectation before. Now you can actually dream a little bit, man. And why not go for it? And you're able to then, put your head down, hammer out a whole bunch of phone calls, have the guts to make those phone calls, and then all of a sudden, boom, that determination, that consistency, you catch a break. And so
yeah,
then you go and try out, you work your tail off while you're in it, you work your tail off for 10 years, and then all of a sudden they pull back and say, hey, we're going in a different direction. And then now you have to make a decision in that January of, do I go and start a business, move on to a different career, or I guess that it wasn't really an option to go and try to find another sponsor at that time, right?
correct.
So
It was like I had to take a rebuilding year to try to get a new
got it.
sponsor. And
Which
and
probably isn't good for the reputation or the branding and
yeah, I mean, thinking back, I remember thinking that, wow, I just got all of my income stopped, all of it. Everything that we used to pay the bills and have a roof over my family's head and feed them stopped, right? And I was like, this isn't a great situation in my early 30s, I felt
Mhm.
like. And then I thought, man, if I had been working as hard, um, branding and sales and networking for all these other companies, if I had been working that hard for my own company, I'd be in a much better situation right now in life. So that's when I was like, I'm going to start a business and I'm going to do everything I've done before for other people for my own company, and let's see what happens. And my original goal was to be able to sponsor myself, to be able to use my own money to go race so I didn't have to ask for other people's money and use NASCAR to build the brand. And actually, I lost a little bit of passion for racing through this startup process, the entrepreneurial process, because it's a rush, man. And I became in love and kind of addicted to the grind of building a business that I lost interest in becoming a NASCAR driver again. Yes, I'd love to go race a car. Dale and I talk a lot about me racing his late models, in that Cars tour.
Yeah.
And I might go do that. But man, now my passion is just growing and learning and building a business.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that as a hobby, right, for the rest of your life
Yeah.
if you want. But um, dude, I love that you took ownership over it, 100% ownership, and just that extremeness of saying, "Hey, dude, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it for me. I'm not going to put all my eggs in somebody else's basket where they can determine what my value is, what my worth is, and they can turn on the spigot or turn it off at any given time." Like really taking autonomy over that, I think, is a really profound thing to do. And even though you're starting from kind of scratch, like you had some stuff that you knew how to build the brand and how to promote some things. What led you to Filter Time? Did you try any other businesses, or was it straight into wanting to get into the filter business?
Yeah, so I had this blank notebook and I remember picking that up and I was just gonna carry it around with me everywhere and write down every idea I thought of. And I thought of some ideas, like there's one, it was kind of funny and I actually think it's pretty good, but I was driving through my neighborhood and I was like, man, there's all these beautiful houses with these white garage doors. Like a beautiful house with a white garage door. I could like wrap these things in vinyl to match their house and look beautiful. So it's like, oh, I'm gonna do that because I knew about vinyl and decals and had a sign business as a teenager. And I was like, oh, that's not really scalable, like what I'm looking to do. And then I usually had a group of people I'd run ideas by and they'd turn them down. And wrote some other ones, some really good ideas that I would still like to do later in life. But then I went to Lowe's to go buy filters. And I went and bought a bunch of crap I didn't even need at Lowe's and pulled in my driveway. And I was like, dang it, I forgot the freaking air filters. The whole reason I just went to Lowe's. And then I started thinking, man, filters are a pain. You got to remember what size. I'm scrolling through the pictures of my phone to find my filter size. I'm staring at a wall with different options. What in the heck am I supposed to buy? Which one? You know, there's so many different options. When did I change it last? You got to open the return to look at a date that you wrote God knows how long ago, right? And there's nobody there to help you in the aisle. Like, how do you pick out which filter you need for something that's so important to have preventative maintenance in your home? Something that's super expensive to fix it if it breaks down. It certainly wasn't an easy process. So I was like, it'd be nice if a box of filters showed up at my front door, the exact filters I need when I need to replace them. That'd be pretty freaking cool. And I wrote down air filters auto ship in my notebook and told a couple buddies about it. They're like, that's awesome. And then I just started thinking of names, right? And I thought Filter Time was a pretty good one.
Dude,
It's
I think
Filter
it's a
Time.
great name. It's so obvious and so
Yeah.
simple. And I think there's a special art of naming your company exactly what it is, right? Explaining exactly what it is without it being too complex, right? Keeping it only a couple words long. And I think Filter Time's an awesome brand and an awesome name for what you guys do.
Yeah, thank you. I think I thought about it when my wife was like, "All right, kids, it's bedtime." I was like, "Bedtime means it's time for bed." And I was like, "Filter, it means filter time. It means it's
It's
time to change your
Filter
filters."
Time.
Yeah. So
Well, it's
bought the name. It wasn't available. It was expensive to buy, but I knew I wanted it and
yeah.
I needed that domain.
That's awesome, man. So what did the process look like? Did you go out and get investors? Did like now that you know this is a viable business? I mean, were you on Amazon? Because Amazon does something similar, right? Like, how is Filter Time different than buying filters on Amazon, for instance?
Yeah, I'll answer that question first and then talk about the startup. But Amazon is an e-commerce shop. So if you know exactly what filter you need and you know what MER rating, what size, and you only need one size in particular, yeah, you can save money, go buy a 6 or 12 pack on Amazon, then to remember to change them yourself. But Amazon doesn't sell one filter at a time. So with my house, I had one 14 by 14 and two 20 by 20 by ones. And if I ordered on Amazon or at Lowe's, I have to buy 2 packs. And I always had this leftover 14 by 14 by one that I had to put in the closet. And then I forgot I had it. And it just wasn't like, picking out the exact filters you need for a subscription. Amazon, you can buy a 2 pack, 4 pack, 6 pack, and do like an auto ship, subscribe
Hmm.
and save. But it's not as detailed. Most homeowners have different sizes with different quantities per sizes, and that doesn't really uh, fit the needs because the economics are tough when you're sending one filter, right? And
Yep.
Amazon takes a big portion, so I know why it's not on there, and so we're able to meet that need. And then as far as starting the business, I had no investors. I bootstrapped it from the beginning. I put $15,000 of my own money in it to buy the domain and have a little WordPress WooCommerce site built and buy some boxes and some inventory. right? So I started with 15 grand. And I remember having some doubts around April. So I thought of the business January 29th. I have a little notebook of timelines for Filter Time. So January 29th, I wrote down the idea. And in April, I had it rolling. I had everything going. I knew where to source, and I had a ship. I had a website company to build, but I had doubts. I was like, man, what's gonna make people buy from me and not somebody else? But this is 7 years ago. What's gonna make people comfortable putting their credit card on my website? How do I look legit? I was like, man, it would be nice if I could have like Dale Earnhardt Jr. on the homepage holding a box of filters. Then people would trust us and know we're the real deal.
Because
And
you
just
you knew Dale from racing, right? And
very
you guys,
little. I met him like twice. And
okay.
yeah, when we drove by, I'd be like, hey man, how are you? Like just short, but didn't know him very well. Had some conversations. But I just texted him. I was like, hey man, I've decided to put all the passion I had from racing into starting a new business. And I would love the opportunity to run it by you and see if you'd be interested in helping me and endorsing it and promoting it. He's like, yeah, bud, Kelly will get a hold of you. Let's chat ASAP. And I was like, all right. And Kelly booked a meeting, and I wasn't even prepared. I didn't even know what to ask him. And I remember going to that meeting and sharing my vision. And he's like, I think I wanted to give him money for a Facebook post or something. Like, oh, I'll give you $1 a filter for, just kind of one of those kind of transactional deals.
Mhm.
And I remember him saying like, oh man, I'm really not interested in that. And I was like, oh, that sucks.
Dude,
Because
he's got cash, man.
yeah, yeah, he's got
He doesn't
cash.
need more cash.
Yeah. So, and that's what he said. He's like, I'm not really looking for other deals. I was like, he's like, but I would love to own this with you and go on this journey with you and help you build a great business. Would you consider that? I was like, yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
So,
No upfront cost. Absolutely. Right. You can
yeah,
have 50% of my business that's never done $1 before.
exactly. Never done $1. It was just an idea. I didn't have a website, and he was in, man. And I remember him telling me that he believed in me. He believed in my passion, my work ethic, and he knew that I would win, right? And not quit
And
till
dude,
I
and
won.
what has that done for your level of confidence, right? When somebody that you really look up to, that's got that much respect, right, and in an industry, and then they breathe that into you, being like, Blake, you're the man. I believe in you. I trust in you. I know you can take this to the next level. Like, dude, does that make you bulletproof? Like, how'd that make you feel?
Yeah, it makes you feel really, really good. You imagine that deal gets presented with offers and deals and businesses every day, right? And the fact that he doesn't have many. When you look at dalejr.com and look at his ventures, there's like four. It's not
Mm-hmm.
like he has this huge portfolio of companies. So the fact that he wanted to do it meant a lot to me. And it also has kept me motivated because I feel like I'm responsible for building a big business because
Mm-hmm.
I maybe could have got it's a grind, man. I maybe could have got lazy over the last 7 years, but I know that Dale believed in me and took a shot. So I'm pedal to the metal full time. But it comes down to like what you said, about me calling all those teams back in 2008, 2009. Like I had that confidence because what's the worst that could happen? I felt like when I was calling Dale and texting him, I was like, man, I have a great idea. I have great intentions. I'm honest. And the worst that can happen is he could say no. The best that he could happen is say, yeah, let's do it. And and it worked out.
That's awesome. This episode of the Legacy Podcast is brought to you by the Legacy Boardroom Mastermind. So our goal is to give as much free information away as humanly possible through all of our social media platforms and try to help people with their businesses, help people with their lives. We also have something for people who want more one-on-one attention, which is Legacy Boardroom. Legacy Boardroom is a board of directors for your business. If you are doing up to about $10 million a year in gross revenue, you're making some money, you got some good things happening, but maybe you can't afford a C-suite of executives, of a chief marketing officer, a chief operating officer, a chief investment officer, a chief human resources officer, and you need access to these fractional C-suite executives. That's what this was built for, at a fraction of the price of what you can find anywhere else in the marketplace. So it's my actual team who have built multiple 7 and 8 and 9-figure businesses and real estate portfolios that is available every single day of the week on these daily boardroom calls. So any questions that you have, you can hop on, Ask questions about operations to my COO, ask questions about acquisitions to my CMO, ask questions about raising private money to my chief investment officer, or team building to my chief HR officer. So they're available for you 5 days a week. Any questions that you have, any hurdles that you're facing, anything that you need, these guys are available to help you break through any sort of barriers and take your business to the next level, so that way you can build a business that is designed to feed your life and your lifestyle. So if you're interested in learning a little bit more, check out legacyboardroom.com. He's a partner, helps promote, helps, he's got a big, over 1 million followers on social media, and can, plug the business once in a while. That's great from a marketing funnel standpoint. What does the sales process look like when somebody reaches out to you? Like here's the thing. There's probably, we have, 90,000 people on Instagram that follow us. We had about 25,000 on Facebook, on my social media stuff, right? 10,000 or almost 10,000 YouTube subscribers. And a lot of them are real estate professionals, and a lot of them need this, because one of the things that you and I, and we met through Dale, right? My wife and Dale's wife are kind of friends. They work out together and stuff. And then I got to meet Dale about a year ago. And then he's like, dude, I got to bring my partner down, Blake, because of our real estate holdings and stuff. And so you and I got to meet. And so, first of all, Dale's an awesome guy. He's like so authentic, so genuine, like one of the nicest people you'll ever meet. You'd never know, or never realize how kind he is with how famous he is, and how it never went to his head or anything. And his kids are a blast. His wife's awesome. Just good people. So like, you could tell, good people to be in business with. I think finding people with good core values is the most important thing. Not just that they're famous, not just that they're wealthy, not just like, dude, that they're good people. That's who you really want to be in business with, And so I think you found a great partner on that front. So he brings, let's say some of the marketing side of things. What does that funnel look like? There's a lot of people who are watching this right now who might be interested, and they have hundreds of doors or thousands of doors or dozens of rental units. One of the things that you told me early on was, like, just by replacing the filters on a regular basis, there's been studies that show you extend the life of the furnace by, how long is it?
5 to 10 years. Yeah. It
Right. So
just
which is
depends how
like
bad it is.
more than 50% of the lifespan gets expanded, all because you're just maintaining it properly and making sure that it doesn't have a bunch of dirt and crap built up just by replacing the filters. It's that simple. And from an investment standpoint, dude, it's way cheaper to just buy filters and make sure that they're changed out than to ever have to replace it every 5 to 8 years. So what does it look like when somebody calls you, and the sales funnel? What does that process look like? And then what does it look like on an ongoing basis with people getting the auto ship, that option that you guys have?
Yeah, for sure. So the sales funnel side, our property management program, we call it the Breathe Happy Pro program, because we service, HVAC maintenance contracts, but a lot of our business is property management. And it really started in 2020. I built the program, and built the portal, and the entire flow, the workflow from a development standpoint. And then we didn't start doing outbound sales till April of 2024. So when Dale flew me down to meet with you, we were brand new into this property management space. I didn't have a CRM, I didn't have a sales team, nothing, right? Until that point, all of our sales for B2B was done by inbound. Someone would email us, hey, how can I get set up? And we'd onboard them. But we had no sales packets, we had nothing, right? And I was like, you know what, this is a pretty good market. And then after talking to you and going to Boston, I learned how big of an opportunity there is in multifamily and also single family, and just this rental space with preventative maintenance and filters being a huge part of preventative maintenance and tenant satisfaction and ancillary revenue. So really have been putting together a great program now where we have 2 salespeople full time that are at these shows, at the NARPM events, IMN events, NHRC. So we're at these booths, we're networking. And now we have a great HubSpot funnel in place where if someone reaches out, they book a demo, and we have a full on, funnel system to show them the demo, show them some of the stats you're referring to, of the HVAC, life extension, the ticket item savings. So we have all that on paper to show. I think it saves you like $500 a year in throughout the life of that property if
Mm.
you change the filters on time. When you consider if someone didn't change the filters, you have to call an HVAC technician. That's a $300 ticket. The system
Hmm.
breaks 5 years sooner. That over a 15-year period, 10-year period is very expensive. So we have all the stats to show people and for the resident, showing them why it's important. Indoor air quality, of savings of their energy costs. So if educate the actual end consumer on why they should change them, maybe they'll actually change them for you and save you a lot of money in the long run.
I mean, it's a being in real estate and owning thousands of apartments. The number one expense in owning real estate is turnover, and it's turnover of tenants. And that's an obvious one, right? Because they move out, you don't have any income coming in, you got to change out the unit, you got to clean it all up, you got to pay a leasing fee, you got to wait for somebody else to move in. It's a big expense. Another one that's less talked about, though, is turnover of mechanicals and turnover of the actual physicality of the property and the components that make that a rental unit. And so, like, dude, on one of my rentals, literally this week, I got a message from one of our property managers. Now it's an upscale house and all this other stuff, but like two of the HVACs went out between the air conditioning unit and it speaks to the air handle in a certain way, and then we need a certain thermostat. It's like $17,000 per unit. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what? It was a different story 15 years ago when it was like 2 grand to replace an HVAC with a air conditioning unit or something. But dude, times have changed, and this stuff is like dramatically more expensive. So if you can reduce turnover of how often you have to replace the mechanicals, it's a drop in the bucket, man. It's like it's something that people really need to pay attention to. If you talk to my COO, Matt Carlin, who I know you have, dude, he's all about preventative maintenance because that's what reduces turnover physically in the properties more so than anything else, and extends the life of the unit. The other thing is by doing that, it also reduces the amount of energy needed and electrical bills or gas bills because the air's pumping a lot better, right? So now it reduces the tenant's expense or the landlord's expense, depending on who pays that. So like there's so many benefits to just doing it and taking care of your property, cleaning the gutters, right? Like making
Yep.
sure water drains away from the property, changing out the air filters, just doing those simple things to your property makes a dramatic difference in the long-term return on your investment.
Absolutely. Yep. I'm a big preventive maintenance guy, man. I'm a car guy, right? So you got to change the oil, right? You need to make
Mm-hmm.
sure the fluids are right if you want to extend the life of that vehicle and have it run at its maximum performance. You need to take care of it. Same thing goes
Dude,
for a property.
for sure, for sure. So what does it look like then? Like you guys have a program for, obviously single family, owner occupants and um, or vacation rentals. So I know we made some connections for you with some of the other property managers on some of the vacation rentals around town, as well as had you come out and connected you with a couple folks in my mastermind who own 10,000 plus storage units
Mhm.
that are all air conditioned and heated and stuff, and made some connections on that. What's kind of the goal moving forward? Like you and I sit down 12, 24 months from now, what do we celebrate, man? Like what's the goal? What's the ambition? And what do you really want to achieve over the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, that's just shipping more filters out the door, and those markets are all different and they have different needs. Single family properties need one or two filters shipped, or a year supply. Call it 12 filters shipped to a property once a year, once a quarter, once every 6 months. Right now, you have an apartment complex that has 300 units of all the same size filters. I ship them a
Mm-hmm.
pallet of the filters they need once a month, once every 2 months, once every 3 months, whatever they want, right? Then it limits the storage space I can take up. The maintenance coordinator doesn't have to figure out where to get the filters, go to the store, order them
Great point.
online. They just show up. And since we're making the filters right in Mount Holly, where we're located, North Carolina, we should be able to beat everybody's cost. There's no reason why we can't and should be able to save people actually money and be more convenient. So when I look at those two things, we should be able to win, right? But then we have hotels. Some of our customers are hotels. Um, we just did a Gray Star property in downtown Charlotte, so we're really expanding into into all those areas, but it all comes down to just moving more filters, right? The more
Mhm.
filters we can make and sell and ship, the lower our cost comes down, and then we can push that cost savings to the end consumer and save everybody money.
Dude, I love it, man. I was hoping you would kind of tease, like, you guys make them locally, right?
Hmm.
Um, and the pricing's not more expensive, right? It's actually cheaper than, bringing it, drop shipping it in from Amazon or wherever else. You guys have um, higher quality at a lower price, which is a winning combination, right out of the
Yeah,
door. And there's no reason that you guys shouldn't just, now it's just exposure. Now it's just more people knowing about it and waiting a little bit of time. And once that
yeah,
happens, dude, it's game over. I know you and I have talked about integrating it into like our property management software once that comes out, and having it there where people can just set it up one time and auto ship it on an ongoing basis and make sure that's taken care of. It's one less thing that you're leaving up to the property manager or the maintenance division and human error, right? It's just
hmm,
automatic. It shows up, and then they know that that task is ready to be completed. So it's really, really cool, man, to see what you've done and to watch the journey. It's how has it been from a time, because you've been doing this for what, 6, 7 years now?
yeah. About 6 or 7 years. Yep.
Yeah. And how has like looking at the growth curve, I'd assume it was like steady, 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 and really, I know you guys are starting to get into some multifamily stuff and doing some really, really cool things on that front. Are you seeing it really start to take off now?
Yeah, I mean, we have different pillars, right? We have, direct to consumer, homeowner subscriptions. We have business to business is like schools, hospitals, churches, local. And then we have what I call our, property management, our Breathe Happy Pro program. That is exploding.
That's
Um,
awesome.
the property management side because it's needed and the timing is right for us to go in there and be exposed to all these property managers that are looking for different things, right? Some are just looking for filters. Some have their own what they call a residence benefits package, where they're like packaging these things into the rent and providing filters as part of that. So residents don't have to go buy the filters. They make sure they get the right one, not too restrictive, not too cheap, the perfect filter to the right size. So it's been really fun to see that and to build a sales team around it and a CRM. But we actually exploded in 2020 is when we exploded when COVID hit because people cared about indoor air quality and not
Mm-hmm.
going to the store. So
Mm-hmm.
we're not at the explosion level as far as percentage goes as the COVID time, but this year to date, we're close. 2025 is off to a really, really good start. And it's from all the hard work we did in 2024. We're starting to
Mm-hmm.
see that the new year, people are executing, signing deals with us. And it's been really fun, but it's been a long time. Yeah, 7 years is a long time, man. It's almost as long as I drove race cars.
Well, it's I I make the point because everybody thinks, you're going to blow up and be successful in the first 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. It's a process. I talk about the 10,000 hour principle quite a bit, which is you got to be in something and spend 10,000 hours doing it before you're an expert at it and really starting to get the momentum and things. So it's like planting seeds for the first couple of years and developing those relationships and finding those vendors and finding the suppliers and finding the shipping institutions who can do all this stuff, and dealing with the bad ones and moving over to the good ones and trying different ones out, and then finally you get that figured out. And the next couple of years is all about cultivating those relationships and growing the sales process and growing the accounts, and then going back and renegotiating cheaper pricing on the shipping and cheaper pricing on the product development. And then all of a sudden, man, you get lucky, right? Because you've been in it for 3 or 4 years, but you're also primed to take advantage of an opportunity like a COVID, right? And then you can keep on delivering a high quality service at a lower price point. And then those folks stay with you because it's subscription model, which is brilliant structuring from a business standpoint, gives it much higher enterprise value, much higher predictability of revenue on an ongoing basis. And it's unlikely that people are going to, it's like, I don't know, you need toothpaste all the time. You
Yeah,
need
yeah,
food all the time. You need your grass cut. You need filters, right? It's a
yeah,
standard thing. And I think there's so many pain points today, especially in the commercial real estate side of things, where everything else is more expensive. And so if you can come in and offer a strategy and educate these owners and educate these management companies of like, we can increase the lifespan of your mechanicals, scientifically shown, by 50 to 100% and double the lifespan or increase it by at least 50%. Like, it's a no-brainer, and we'll save you money on something you're already paying for anyways, like, and make it easier for you and have higher quality than what you're, it's like, it's such a no-brainer for people to jump on. It's just getting more exposure to it, right? And that's why
Yep.
I love having you on here, man. And would love to figure out a way to integrate your stuff into Smart Management, our property management software, and just keep things scaling. So, dude, it's awesome to watch the journey. It's awesome to see what you got going on, and I can't imagine where it's going to be in the next 7 or 8 years and how this continues to scale.
Yeah, thanks so much, man. Yeah, it's been a blast here talking with you, learning from you, motivated by you. So very appreciative of you and all the content you push out there too. It motivates people like me that are grinding daily that need that extra push. So I really appreciate you and the connections that you continue to make. Very appreciated. And if anybody listening wants to reach out to us, you can just shoot us an email, team
Yeah,
at
what's the best way to connect
filtertime.com.
with you guys?
Yeah, I would say just shoot us an email and it'll go into our ticketing system and the right person will grab it. But email is team at filtertime.com. You can check out filtertime.com or PM property management.filtertime.com is a little more specific to the property management space.
Perfect. And we'll put it in the show notes and everything. So if any, and we'll
Okay.
tag you guys on that stuff, and we'll tag you on social media. But dude, it's again, it's awesome to watch the journey. You're a great person, and I love your hustle and the entrepreneurial side of things. So whenever you come down to Charleston, man, we'll celebrate the 40th, and love to take you out.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, Blake, appreciate you, man. Thanks for being on the Legacy Podcast. Hey, well, thank you for being here. Hopefully you got a ton of great value out of this episode. You know, we try to give as much free value as possible across all of our social media platforms. So please make sure that you're connected with us. We are at Legacy Wealth on YouTube. We are at Tim Bratz on all other social media platforms. And we're available anywhere that you listen to podcasts. The best way that you can support this podcast is by just subscribing to our YouTube channel, by liking the video, by commenting on it, and by sharing it with anyone else who might get some great value out of it. So thank you again for being here. We'll see you next Sunday on the Legacy Podcast.